This is the easiest geometry node tutorial that we have done on this channel. It's absolute fun, and even the beginners who have just started learning geometry node and have seen just the 3 or 4 chapters of this series can make this one. So let's begin with this. First thing we need is a new geometry node network. We need a node to type our text. String is the node for that, and I'm going to type something like this. Just type anything. First, let's convert this to curves. So we have our text effect. Now all we need is make a solid geometry out of this. Yeah, maybe choose a font which is not so thin. So we have a text unit. So to make the slices and cross-sectional cutouts going on, we need kind of an array for this. So for that, let's bring a mesh line, and on this mesh line we're going to bring instances on points. So we're basically going to instance this geometry right here, and this should make a nice array out of this. And if we reduce the offset of the mesh line, we are basically reducing the height. That should help us make this one into a solid unit which doesn't look so scattered like this. So we are going to add a extrude node later to sort of add some thickness to this, but first let's align this one 90 degree in the front. Now what we need is second half of the effect, and for that we need a cube which is volume cube, and this volume cube basically we are going to use this to boolean create cutouts from this text. So let's just join these two so that we can see both of these objects together. We'll get a bit of help in aligning. Cover this entire text, tightly pack this up. We don't want to waste any resolution. So now we have this volume going on, sort of like a fog. So let's bring a texture and plug that into the density, which is going to basically define the density of this volume cube. And then if we bring a volume to mesh node, then we'll start seeing a mesh which is shaped out of that volume. Let's increase the resolution of this volume cube and set shade smooth so that we see a smoother mesh. That's it, pretty much done. Now let's get rid of this join geometry node and bring a mesh boolean, plug that here, plug the second half here. So we're seeing some error here, and that's because we haven't realized this geometry. So these instances we need to realize. We are seeing something interesting here. Let's reduce the scale or something. Maybe add one extrude node right here. 103. Yeah, something like this. Now we can map range this and plug that here. Now all those things that we typically do with the texture, we can do all that here as well. So you can scale it up, scale it down, transform this, bring some other texture, anything you want to do with it. So instead of 3D texture, I'm going to make this one a 4D texture and bring a scene time node, plug that right here, and maybe with a math node, we are going to reduce the animation speed or even further. So this looks interesting. Maybe we can add some more details to this. Just keep tweaking the texture, the values until you find what you're looking for. Now what I'll do is I'll do something, a bit of adjustment here. So this volume cube that we made, I'm going to increase the depth of this one, something like this. And then if I transform this, then what will happen is more of texture waves we are going to see here. So instead of this cutout, just the one sectional wave cutout happening from our text, we are going to see multiple of these waves bring different kind of shapes from our text geometry. So if you see, what I mean is when we have a broader texture, so all these are pretty much going all the way through. So if I reduce the depth of the texture like this, we are seeing more of details happening in all these cross sections. So this is much better. Alright, so you have the text effect. Now all you need to do is just add some nice animations to it, try different textures, try different transformations or something. You can maybe start your animation by playing with the map range with the complete text and then start chopping off this thing slowly and maybe create a formation kind of effect. So something similar to what we did in the last chapter. Now let's bring some materials to this, set material, and add a material to this. And in this material, we are basically going to bring one simple shader, pretty simple. and this is going to be a gradient. And let's press Ctrl T for the node wranglers mapping coordinates and turn this in the 90° Z and start aligning your gradient to the text. Now with the hue saturation, we can basically bring some nice colors, and maybe it's not so vivid. We can map range this to something more subtle. Maybe with the help of math node, what you can do is bring a snap node here, and this will create a solid transitions for the each value or something. So you'll have to just play around a little. Now once you have this effect, what you can do is make a duplicate of this text unit and then duplicate of this geometry node network, and let's get rid of this and instead bring a mesh grid. We basically need a floor at the bottom, so yeah, this should be perfect for that. Maybe I would need to, for the volume cube, maybe spread this slightly more further like this so that it covers the entire floor. And then we can scale this down. Let's get rid of the extrude node for the floor. We can scale this down in the vertical height like this, and maybe we can scale the texture up a bit so that we see more of these waves here. Map range this any way you want. You can even bump up the resolution a bit if your computer doesn't mind. Now from this point of view, all you need to do is just add some interesting HDRI in the background and add some lights to the scene and maybe tweak the colors a bit. The choice is yours. Just bring whatever kind of colors you want, neon, add some glow to it, do all sort of things. So like I told you, this is going to be the easiest and the shortest tutorial that we have done on this channel. Now one more detail you can add into this is, from the mesh boolean you are getting this intersecting edges output. So you can take this one and convert this into mesh to curve. So basically we have something like this. So wherever the intersection is happening, those splines you see. Now all you need to do is bring curve to mesh just like the previous chapters, and maybe add some profile curve to this. Reduce the resolution, reduce the radius, and combine these two, and that's it. On every edge you'll start seeing this tube here, and that's all we want. You can add another material to this, material 001, and maybe make this one into metallic or something like this. The only thing about this which is a bit of unfortunate is that in between few frames start glitching out. So the boolean, sometimes if the mesh doesn't intersect on the right angle or something, or some weird interaction is going on, then you would see a few glitches in the boolean. So after rendering the animation, I had 3 or 4 frames of glitches, so I basically trimmed those frames out of the animation, and rest of the things are pretty good to go. So yeah, that's about it, and I hope this improves in the future. So I hope you find this one interesting and useful, and if you are a beginner especially, do try this example. It's pretty easy. Visually it's pretty interesting. So if you're learning geometry nodes and you have stumbled upon this chapter randomly, do check out the links in the description. This is an ongoing series, and do watch all the previous chapters in the correct order to make sense out of it. Even if you have seen the first 4 or 5 chapters, you can easily make this one with the help of just the basics. And also if you are an absolute beginner with Blender, do check out this tutorial series as well. This is going to help you out with all the basics, and you should be good to go from there. So I'll see you guys in the next chapter. Take care. Bye.